Many thanks for joining us. Let's start off with the very first one. And the national security can now listen, record, monitor, intercept, or even tamper with telecommunication messages and postal packets if government successfully pushes through a bill currently before Parliament. Now, the Interception of Postal Packets and Telecommunication Messages Bill 2015, awaiting consideration of Parliament, seeks to enact legislation for the lawful interception of postal packets and telecommunication messages for the purpose of fighting crime. Now, already, government is seeking proposals from the public to add to the bill, but Joy News is learning that the memo accompanying the bill is yet to be given to the MPs, though the bill has been referred to the Defence and Interior Committee in Parliament. Correspondent Elton Bobe has intercepted a copy of that memorandum and joins us over the telephone lines now with a lot more. So, Elton, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Now, what's the purpose of the bill? And in reference to the term intercept, I mean, what's the definition given?
Well, according to the then Minister for Interior, Mark Woyongo, who signed on to this memorandum, the object of the bill is to enact legislation for the lawful interception of postal packets and telecommunication messages for the purpose of fighting crime, suppressing organized crime, including money laundering, terrorism, narcotic trafficking, identity theft, and generally for the protection of national security. Now, they've made the point that the issue of armed robbery, terrorism, money laundering, and narcotic drug trafficking has become a real threat to public order and to the safety and well-being of individual citizens in Ghana, as well as in other West African countries. Now, according to them, these activities are a threat to life and create disorder, fear, and insecurity, and also undermine the confidence of investors in the economy in which they take place. And people involved in these activities, according to the statement, rely on postal communication and information technology system to escape the surveillance of law enforcement agencies. So in the bill, Clause 1, for instance, says that the bill will deal with the application of the law and provide the interception of postal packets or telecommunication messages applies only to public postal service and public telecommunication service. Clause 2 specifies the purpose for which interception of postal packets, telephone or other electronic or cyberspace communication is legally permissible. And some of these purposes are criminal investigation, suppression of organized crime such as money laundering, and the protection of the security of the state. However, Clause 3 prohibits the interception of a postal packet, telephone, or other electronic or cyberspace communication unless the interception is lawful and done in accordance with the Postal and Courier Service Regulation Commission Act 2003. And it goes on to say that any person who intercepts a postal packet, telephone, or other electronic cyberspace communication without lawful authority commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine of 5,000 penalty units or to a term imprisonment of not more than 10 years or both. Now, the issue or the definition given to intercept in this particular document, which is yet to be perused by Parliament, talks about the fact that an intercept includes to hear, listen, record, monitor, acquire, receive, intercept, divert, or tamper with a telecommunication message. So this is the interpretation given intercept under this particular bill before Parliament.
So, also, let me ask at this point, when is Parliament likely to consider this bill?
It is unclear for now. My information is that this particular bill was laid in the House. The long title was read last week. Now, even members, the referral was to the Defense and Interior Committee. Information I've picked is that members on this committee are not even aware of the memorandum accompanying this bill because government is yet to forward it to them. That is information I've picked. Indeed, I've spoken to the deputy ranking member of the committee, who himself says that he's been pushing the chairman to get them the memorandum so that they can better educate themselves on the bill before they can consider it to submit their report to Parliament to start the process of the consideration of the bill. So it's unclear when that will be done. But so for now, the consideration, I can't be too sure when it will start in Parliament. But what is clear is that members say that they are not aware of this particular, document. They will not be given document even though it's been late.
Elton, many thanks for that update, and that was parliamentary correspondent Elton Bobe bringing us a lot more on that new bill, which according to government and the national security, it is to help protect us, it's to help get us secure, but in essence, it's going to give the national security the ability to listen in to your conversations and probably intercept certain documents of yours if need be, all in the interest of the greater good. We'll see how this particular one pans out, but do stay on for the Pulse, which airs at 3 p.m. on this same platform for a much more detailed analysis of this bill and what it entails. Now, an Accra High Court has adjourned a case filed by suspended national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Awuntemi Afoko, challenging his suspension. Mr. Afoko is in court seeking a constitutional interpretation of the NPP constitution as basis to declare the suspension as null and void. Well, Mr. Afoko, after today's hearing in court, held a media briefing to address some pertinent issues. Now, here are excerpts of that media briefing.
Some of the issues will be disposed of by legal arguments, according to the court, and some of the issues, a few of them, will be disposed of by taking evidence. And so today in court, the court ordered that the parties should file and exchange documents, if any. And also, the parties should file their witness statements. In all, these processes were to take a total of 37 days, which will take us to the 24th of March. If all goes well, on the 24th of March, the court will vet all the documents and the witness statements filed, after which the trial will proceed. In court, lawyers for Mr. Afoko wanted the time within which all these documents and witness statements will be filed to be shorter than the 24th of March 2016. And so the court was of the view that if all the processes are served well before the 24th, lawyers for Mr. Afoko, who is the plaintiff, could apply ex parte for the date to be brought back. That is before the 24th of March. So basically...
And that was Nanaya Osei, spokesperson for that suspended party chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Awuntemi Afoko, there addressing the media after that particular hearing in court earlier today. But let's still stay with politics. And our pressure group led My Vote Count Alliance is calling for the dissolution of an 18-member election steering committee put together by the Electoral Commission to oversee the November 7 general election. Now, the committee, which is supposed to ensure credible polls, was inaugurated last Monday, February 8, 2016, with members drawn from various state institutions, including the police service, the military, National Service Secretariat, and the prisons service. The group says the composition of the committee is an NDC-biased one. And David Asante is convener of the Let My Vote Count Alliance.
It would have been fair and proper for the EC to tell the people of Ghana the committee is made up of all political parties. Then we will know it's a political platform, fair representation. But the EC put a known NDC man, party person, Dr. Karl Marx Ahin, former Deputy Director of International Relations at the NDC party headquarters in Adabraka, on an EC committee. Mr. Francis Azumia from Peace Council, who once contested as parliamentary candidate and later pulled out for Booster North constituency. Mr. Joe Vital, Deputy Shraj Boss. These are non-NDC men. Then the EC puts these men on the committee and comes to tell the whole of Ghana. Okay, so the EC has composed a neutral and independent committee.
Mr. Santi, let me ask this question. You seem to have problems with this composition, but honestly, every single person who is supposed to be on a panel that's not supposed to be biased anyway will still have affiliations to one party or the other, be it open or a secret. So really, one would say, aren't you going too far? Aren't you stretching this a bit too much?
Yeah, but the point is, if you put these individuals there and they some way somehow have passion for a political party they have not openly displayed, we may not have any problem. In any case, the certain electoral commission chair, on the day of election, she will vote if she so decides to, and she will vote for one party. We are not too bothered about that because she has not held any party position. Neither has she openly declared her party affiliation. So we can express confidence in her neutrality. But not a man like Dr. Carl Ahin, who has once sat at the party headquarters as Deputy Director of International Affairs. I'm sorry. He can't be an independent arbiter. It's unacceptable.
Let My Vote Count Alliance, what do you intend doing next?
We have brought these issues to the fore for proper discussion. It will further be followed with a written document to the EC. I have seen party ID cards popping up. I have seen parliamentary candidate posters popping out for these individuals whose names we have mentioned. At least it attests to the fact that the EC lied to the people of Ghana about the committee's independence and neutrality. It's a big matter.
Some are saying that you just want to make a fuss out of nothing, because really, if you were looking at the interest of the elections and the credibility of it in the first place, the first thing you would have done was to write a letter and send it to the EC. But as things stand now, you are yet to do that anyway.
We are a pressure group. The political parties may decide to engage in letter writing. The last time we went on a demonstration, it nearly turned out fatal. A young man lost an eye. There were other casualties. Mm-hmm. The Electoral Commission's response to Let My Vote Count Alliance was we should stop the unnecessary noise.
The opposition NPP has meanwhile added its voice to the call for a dissolution of the 18-member steering committee by the EC. Now, the party has described the committee as a bogus one that will not serve any beneficial purpose to the November polls. Kwachi Afrenium of our political desk has been speaking to campaign chairman of the opposition NPP, Peter McMahon.
The Electoral Commission gave us an election 2016 calendar, which details out series of important events that will take place between now and November. And nowhere in that election 2016 calendar is the issue of steering committee inauguration mentioned. So I and the New Patriotic Party do not know anything. We only knew of the inauguration of the steering committee through Joy FM website, My Joy Online FM. Let me repeat. The Electoral Commission cannot, and I think people would always say they are independent. For me, sovereignty rests with the people of Ghana, this country, that's enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. So they cannot do exclusive election management. Election management is an inclusive thing. It's an inclusive process, and all stakeholders must be included in anything that has effect on the organization of the elections.
Well, the Electoral Commission says that this team, this steering committee, is to help them ensure that we have a credible election on November 7.
You go and pack that committee with known NDC officers, and you don't say anything about it to other members of other political parties. What is the meaning of that?
You say known NDC members. The MPP has issues with the composition of this panel.
Dr. Ahe, I know him very well. He is the Deputy International Relations Officer of the National Democratic Congress. These are things that cast the integrity of the commission in dispute. And let me tell you, the confidence level of the commission itself has been going down from time to time. So it is about time that bold steps were taken, including inclusivity of the organization of elections. So after, we don't have to debate this issue. But what I'm saying is that it is casting a bad image for the organization of elections in our country. At the end of it all, I can assure you that New Patriotic Party will survive and win the election. Because I know of other countries like Senegal, where Dr. Wade, the former president, in Senegal, it is the Minister of Interior that organizes and supervises elections. In spite of that, Dr. Wade lost. He lost miserably. Because the will of the people is the will of God. And I can tell you, nobody can stand in the way of the will of the people.
Mr. McMahon, you're raising issues with the composition of the panel. Does it mean that the MPP wants the panel reconstituted?
We don't need that panel. We have run elections since 1990. If you talk about security, already the National Election Security Task Force has been inaugurated, and the Regional Task Force has been inaugurated. The NCCE, who are also on that committee, they are doing their own thing of educating the voters on issues. So what is the purpose of the same committee? When you have a management of election professionals in the Electoral Commission, what are the directors of election, the director of research, the director of monitoring, the director of training, all those directorships under the Electoral Commission? What are they supposed to do? I'm telling you that steering committee is bogus. You make your own inference out of it.
So it should be scrapped? It should be scrapped?
I am saying it is bogus. If something is bogus, you ask me if it should be scrapped.
You're watching News Today here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll return shortly with some more. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. Let's move on to some more stories now. This time around, let's focus our attention on education. And the Coalition of Concerned Teachers says it will sue government if it fails to pay up arrears owed its members before February 29. Although the group has already served notice to the National Labour Commission to embark on a strike action on February 29 if issues concerning its salary arrears are not resolved, the president of the group, Ernest Opoku, tells Joy News the association will head to the courts to have the issues resolved. But earlier today, there was a media briefing, and I do have my colleague who is now here in studio with me, who was there early on, Efwa Evans Chinri, joins me now with the very latest on that. So, Efwa, thank you very much for joining us. So, what transpired at this media briefing?
So the upset teachers are saying that government should pay them the salaries they owe them. That's for over 2 years now. And the incremental credit arrears, they say, is 100 million Ghana cedis. So I spoke with the acting director, and this is what he had to say.
Okay.
Can you tell us how long you've not been paid?
Dates back, some starting from 2012 to date.
2012
yes.
till date?
Yes.
Okay. And what has the Ghana Education Service and the others been telling you?
There's old stories. For example, some of these monies that we are talking about are salary arrears. Incremental credit arrears date back from 2011-2012. We were promised payment in 2015, it was not paid. We were promised payment in 2014, it was not paid. We were promised payment in 2013, it was not paid. Indeed, in 2016, it has even been captured in the budget, but the Minister of Finance is still adamant to pay. Then we also have what we call the 3 months policy. Mr. Setekpe, the Minister of Finance, on November 4, 2013, brought out a letter asking all the MMDAs and Controller Accountant General not to pay salary arrears beyond 3 months. And the letter stipulates that it will affect all public sector workers. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It affected only teachers, to the extent that, as we speak, there are teachers that work for 10 months and they were given 3 months. There were teachers that worked for 1 year and they were given 3 months. There were those that worked for even 2 years and they were given 3 months. And the rest has been locked up to now, after they have gone through all the rigorous process for the rest of the money to be paid them. We are telling Mr. Setekpe that that policy that he brought is not helping teachers and that it is hampering education in totality. We are also talking about our vehicle maintenance arrears. We are talking about our incremental credit arrears. We are talking about transfer grants and all that. But of all this issue, Two of the issues are extremely critical. The very first one are teachers that has been posted or recruited for 2013, 2014, 2015, and as we speak, they have not been paid, but they are working. And the second issue are teachers that worked for several months, some ran into years, and they were given 3 months and the rest has been paid. It is very, very unfortunate that this is happening. And we want to draw the attention of the Minister of Finance to Article 24 of the 1982 Constitution that you cannot employ somebody and then refuse to pay the person. We are also drawing his attention to Section 67 and 68 of the Labour Act that you cannot employ somebody and refuse to pay the person.
So do you have a bargaining certificate?
Now what we have is collective agreement for all the 3 teacher unions. But let me also add that we are also preparing to go to the courts, specifically the Supreme Court, to seek interpretation of the law, Article 24. If the laws of the land allows the state to employ its own citizens and not to pay them for several months. And we are saying that if by the 29th of this month, these issues, as we have raised, are not addressed, then the strike action has been declared in advance.
Thank you.
And indeed, that was the acting president of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers. I still have here in studio with me, F4 Evans Chinri, my colleague here at Joy News. She was at that particular media briefing, and she's been interacting with a lot more of those aggrieved teachers. So, so these concerns they're raising are not really new. What more do they want to do to push governments into paying up these monies?
Well, all they are saying is that pay us our monies and we'll leave you alone, you know. And so they are saying that by the 29th of this month, if they don't have their monies, they are hitting the streets. They are not going to the classroom. They are not going to teach. The kids will come to school, but there will be no teacher in the classroom. So that's what they're saying.
Did they, for instance, also mention that since the time they came up with this thing that some monies are due them, some monies need to be paid to them. That should be about a week ago or so. Has there been any communication between government and these teacher unions, including the CCT?
Well, they said they've met with them. I mean, they keep telling them that you have to pay us our monies, but I mean, nothing is being done. So if nothing is being done, we still talk about it, we meet, we talk about it, nothing is being done, then we have no other option than to just put our backs down and say, no, we're not going to teach. That's basically it.
Many thanks for that update, F4, and that was my colleague F4 Evans Chinri, bringing us a lot more from that media briefing by the Coalition of Concerned Teachers here in Accra. But let's head to the courts once more. And one of the High Court judges implicated in a recent corruption expose in the country's judiciary, Paul Derry, has petitioned President Mahama over alleged death threats on his life. Justice Derry, in a statement, is asking the president to direct an investigation into alleged death threats on him, published on the Facebook page of Daily Graphic. Now, Raymond Dakwa has more. Good morning, thanks for joining us. So, where from these threats, Justice Derry speaks of?
So, the justice is complaining about a Facebook comment on the Facebook poster story from Graphic. So he says that there was this particular story in the Daily Graphic of page 42 on the 15th of February, which actually was posted on the 9th of February. This particular story had commentary. You know, like media institutions have Facebook pages that they reproduce the stories and share it with the public. Now he's saying that on Graphic's page, there was this gentleman called Cephas Kuma who posted this statement, quote, "This man's intransigence is making some of us revise our notes on Amat Ekwe and Cole's killing of the 3 High Court judges and the retired army officer. For how long will these legal gymnastics last?" So this commentary is what the learned justice believes that is dangerous to his existence. It's threatening his living as a human being, and that he feels threatened by it. So the CID, which is the recipient of this particular letter, is actually asking the director of the Criminal Investigation Department to review this particular threat, get the person, accost him, and know whether he is of a real threat to the life of a justice of the High Court who is currently in some trouble. So that is his main problem, that he feels threatened by the very commentary that he is intransigent, and that by his actions, the gentleman is saying that his actions are reminiscent of what happened during Amat Ekwe's killing of the High Court judges, you know, in the military around 1979. the incident where some, judges were killed. Yeah. If you go to Supreme Court, you call them the Marthas. You see their pictures in front. There are pictures in front of the Supreme Court with their statues also attached to those ones. The problem here is that he believes that a similar treatment could be meted out to him if the gentleman Cephas Kuma is not checked.
I see. So how does the president come into all this? Because based on what you're saying, this letter is addressed to the CID.
To the CID. He is referencing, he first petitioned the president.
Okay.
He petitioned the president to help him unveil Anas Aremea Anas's Tiger IPI, because in that particular petition, he says the Tiger IPI, which sent an earlier petition to the president for his removal in that particular judicial corruption scandal, he believes that the body that is petitioning against Justice Derry, cannot be properly identified. At some point in time, it is Tiger IPI.
So it's time now for some business here on News Today with John Kujamwako.
And now time to do some business, and some insurance companies are impressing on businesses located in flood-prone areas the need to relocate if their operations are to be insured. This, according to them, follows a warning by the international reinsurance companies not to do business with companies that continue to rent buildings in flood-prone areas.
This is coming after the Ghana Insurance Association recently defended its members that refused to offer insurance cover to traders in major informal markets, citing these areas as high risk. According to Enterprise Insurance, similar concerns are coming up against businesses located at flood-prone areas. The company, for instance, last year paid almost 60 million cedis in claims to clients affected by the June 3 floods. The head of Business Development, Communication and Sales, Phyllis Wood Batley, spoke to Joy Business after the company paid a working visit to some of its clients affected by the floods.
It was a huge hit, we have to admit. As I've said already, the claims we've paid referring to the 3rd June floods, it's about 60 million Ghana cedis. That is a lot of money. So it's tested that strength. But because of the reinsurance arrangements that we have in place, I'm very happy to say that, we fared very, very well.
Some of the companies Enterprise Insurance visited included Worldwide Health, Muhinani Group, and Far East. Some of these representatives spoke with Joy Business.
Insurance is something, when nothing happens, it is seen as a sunk cost. But if something happens, it's only the right insurance that can keep the business floating. We sit here comfortably talking because we had the right insurance coverage, which could help us to get back to business.
And the UK Shadow Minister for International Development, Diane Abbott, says women would do better in business if funds from international donor agencies were distributed equitably. According to her, lack of access to funding is a major challenge facing women doing business. Madam Abbott, who is on the week working visit to Ghana, spoke to Joy Business after a meeting with the African Women Development Fund to discuss issues affecting women empowerment in Ghana.
I'm here to find out what is happening to UK aid monies, because there's no doubt we do give aid and development help to Ghana. So I'm here to talk to women's groups to find out what are their issues with funding and how much of that money is reaching them. There are two things, I think, when we're talking about women's economic empowerment. One is access to finance, including microfinance, but the other is targeted aid. It's my view that possibly too much aid money goes to international consultants and not enough to local groups working on the ground. I think that we need to have a test of UK development and aid projects, which is, are they reaching women? Are they encouraging women's economic empowerment? So there's two things, finance and targeted development aid.
And finally, food and beverages companies are challenging government decision to impose the new ECOWAS common external tariffs on goods that were imported before the implementation date of the tax. Ghana joined other ECOWAS countries to impose the new tariff on goods that are imported into and exported out of the region. Some companies, however, deem it unfair for them to pay taxes on goods that were imported before the new tax regime came into force. The concerns were captured in a 3-page petition to the Finance Minister, Sir Tekpe, and the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, George Blankson. John Awuni speaks for Food and Beverage Association of Ghana.
The concern basically has to do with the fact that the businesses are already distressed and the currency in the country has not been stable. So most of the goods in the warehouses have already lost value, and automatically businesses will have to adjust the prices beyond some limit in order to be able to recover bit of the losses. So when you warehouse them at higher duty rates, especially those ones that have moved to 35%, then it means that the businesses wouldn't be able to recover, because there's a certain limit of price adjustment you can make in order to be able to move the goods. And so that is the appeal to government. Yes, for those goods that are already in the warehouses, let's do them at the previous rates, and those ones that are coming in, let's do them at the current rate, basically to be able to support the businesses, the consumer, and the economy.
And that will be it for business. My name is John Kojo Amwako.
Phone Network.
So that's how we wrap up on news today this afternoon. My name is Kwabena Chenche Heneboat. Remember, there's a lot more news when you visit www.myjoyonline.com. Coming up next is the Marketplace with John Amwako. Many thanks for your company.